Grab your popcorn as we recap this movie about a beta male who allows people to walk all over him, until one day he's had it. The movie opens up in the snowy Minnesota in 2006. Apparently it's based on a true story, but that's debatable. A man named Lorne Malvo is driving his car in a snowy road. Loud rhythmic banging can be heard in his trunk. Then all of a sudden a deer runs past his car and Malvo swerves into a snow and crashes. The man in his trunk is able to prop the trunk open, and he runs away only half clothed. Malvo slowly walks to the dead deer, paying no mind to the man running away. Meanwhile, Pearl Nagaart is talking to her husband Lester Nagaart, who is paying attention to the sounds the washer is making. Pearl reminds him that they are bringing meatloaf to Lester's nephew's birthday dinner. Lester says the washing machine is making an angry noise today. Then Pearl makes him feel bad when she mentions how Lester's brother Chaz is able to afford the nice all-in-one European washer-dryer. She jokes and says she married the wrong Nagaart. Lester says his shop is just slow, but Pearl says Lester always says it's slow. She tells Lester to try harder like Chaz. She doesn't stop bragging about her brother-in-law. Even says Chaz knows how to fix things around the house and wishes Lester was like him. Lester then goes downstairs to check on the washer. He just stares at it but does nothing to fix it. At work, Lester tries to sell life insurance to a couple. The couple is only trying to get the pregnant woman on his healthcare plan. However, Lester is persistent with his terrible sales pitch. This turns off the couple since the conversation turns morbid. They leave without even taking a brochure. After work, Lester looks at a new washer that he is unable to afford. Then his old high school bully Sam interrupts Lester's daydream. Sam's sons are two very slow adult individuals named Mickey and Mo. Sam calls Lester the N-word because his last name sounds similar. Sam brags that his trucking company is doing really good. Then Sam puts his arms around Lester and tells his son the story about putting Sam into an oil drum, then rolling it into the highway. Submissive Lester doesn't stand up for himself and just allows the onslaught. Sam then comments about how Lester's wife Pearl gave him five-finger excitement during high school. Lester tries to leave, but Sam continues to bully him. Then Sam eventually punches Lester in the face. In the emergency room, Lester waits his turn while he sits with Lorne Malvo. Malvo wonders what happened to Lester's nose. Lester mentions his bully from high school, Sam Hess, had punched him in the face. He even discloses that his wife had given Sam a handy back in high school. Malvo says if he were Lester, he would have killed Sam. Lester then tells all the bad things Sam did to him, including putting him in an oil drum. Malvo is shocked that Sam is still alive. Lester then suggests in a slight, somewhat joking way that Malvo should kill Sam for him. Malvo asks for clarification while a nurse tries to get Lester to come with her. Lester tries to clarify that he doesn't want Malvo to actually kill Sam. Malvo says he just needs a yes or no. At that same moment, the nurse urges Lester to go with her to be treated. Lester shouts yeah as he stands up to follow the nurse, signaling Malvo that he should kill Sam. Malvo has a very sly look as Lester walks away. Police officer Molly Salverson tells Chief Vernon what she thinks had occurred with an abandoned crashed car. They notice the windshield is cracked and that the driver must have hit his head on the windshield. They find blood on the headlights and find the deer in the trunk of the car. They follow the footprints from the car leading to the woods. While they follow the tracks, they talk about Vernon's pregnant wife. Then, they come across a frozen corpse. Vernon gets home to a lovely house and wife. He kisses his pregnant wife Ida. At dinner, they talk about the man he found frozen with just his underpants. He seems to be a good police officer and cares for his wife. Later, Sam's kids are fighting over a blow-up doll. Malvo interrupts them and lectures them how to properly fight. Sam comes down from his office and wonders what Malvo wants. Malvo insults his kids, but Sam restrains himself from hurting Malvo. Malvo says he just wanted to have a good look at Sam, then he walks away. At Lester's nephew's birthday, Kitty answers the door to invite them in. Chaz brags about all of his success, while Pearl reminds Lester how unsuccessful he is. Chaz wonders what happened to Lester's nose and he lies about slipping on ice. Later in his garage, Chaz shows off his gun collection to Lester. He shows a large machine gun hidden behind all the other guns. Lester holds it but immediately drops it and breaks the gun. Chaz is pissed. Chaz then criticizes Lester's life. Chaz even says he pretends Lester is dead when people ask him about Lester. It should be Chaz looking up to Lester, but Lester is such a loser. While driving, Malvo calls his boss, who tells him to finish his assignment. He apologizes for the delay because he had to take a personal detour. Malvo had been following Sam, who stops by at a strip club. While Sam is doing the deed with a stripper, Malvo comes from behind and stabs his head. In the middle of the night, Vernon receives the call to investigate Sam's death. He is picked up by Molly to go to the strip club. Vernon and Molly recognize Sam Hess and they think Sam might have gotten himself into a large crime ring from Fargo. The next day, Molly is looking at Sam's murder file at her dad's coffee shop. Vernon meets up with her. Molly says the frozen half-naked man the other day wasn't the driver because he didn't have a head injury from the windshield. She found out the car was stolen, but she still doesn't know the man's identity after she ran his fingerprints. Vernon is impressed with Molly's thoroughness and says she'd make a good chief one day. Meanwhile, Sam Hess's wife Gina Hess is grieving over her dead husband. Malvo calls Mickey one of Sam's sons. Malvo pretends to be a lawyer and tells Mickey that Sam left all of his money to his younger brother Mo. He strikes a chord with Mickey and tells him the will says Mo was Sam's favorite son. Malvo finds joy in doing small things like this to mess with people. Subsequently, Molly and Vernon are questioning Gina if she knew any of Sam's criminal doings. Gina's lawyer says Gina is completely innocent and knows nothing. In the background, you can see Mickey hitting his younger brother Mo. Malvo's lies certainly worked on the doofuses. Molly goes in to tackle Mickey and Gina just laughs at the situation. Later, Lester goes to work. He's shocked to find out he has to pull Sam's life insurance file out. Lester wonders if his run-in with Malvo had anything to do with Sam's sudden death. He goes to see Malvo and asks if he killed Sam. Malvo says Lester is the one who killed Sam since he said yes at the hospital. Malvo tells Lester that there are no rules in life and Lester needs to learn how to stand up for himself. At the police department, Ida calls her husband and tells her that everything is sinking in. They're going to have a baby and their lives will be changed forever. Then later, Molly lets Vernon know that someone at the hospital had told her someone came in the other day with a head injury, and that guy was talking to Lester about Sam Hess. She thinks the abandoned car case might be connected to Sam's death somehow. Molly says she is going to go over Lester's house to ask him questions. However, Vernon tells her to call it a day and he'll do it himself. At home, Lester is in the basement trying to fix the washer. Pearl makes condescending remarks about his abilities, especially since the washer looks worse than ever. Pearl is pissed the washing machine is ruined. She says Lester isn't even half a man. Her mom warned Pearl not to marry Lester because he's a loser. Then she admits not wanting to look at Lester during intimate time because she likes to picture other men. Lester demands her to take that comment back. Then he grabs a hammer. Pearl teases him some more because she doesn't think Lester has the guts to do it. Lester hits her with a hammer and blood starts to drip. Then Lester continues to hit her until she falls over. He hits her until blood splatters to a nearby poster. In a panic, Lester starts to remove his clothes and bags everything, then hides the murder weapon behind the washer. Later, he's in his new clothes and calls Malvo. He admits to killing his wife and asks Malvo to come over to help him clean up. However, Lester has ulterior motives as he grabs his gun and puts bullets in it. He practices shooting Malvo as he plans to pin the crime on Malvo. There's a knock on the door, but it's Vernon who is there to question Lester. Vernon questions Lester about his visit to the hospital for his nose. Vernon wants to know the identity of the man he talked to. Lester lies that he never talked to anyone about Sam Hess at the hospital. Vernon is quite suspicious as Lester is very fidgety. Suddenly, Vernon sees some blood splatter Lester had left. He makes Lester sit on the ground and checks to see what had gone down in the basement. Lester denies he had anything to do with it. Vernon is shocked to see Pearl dead. He calls for backup, but suddenly Malvo is right behind him. Malvo shoots him with the gun Lester had prepared. Vernon falls to the ground after the second shot, while dispatchers are trying to figure out what is going on. Vernon dies fairly quick. Malvo wonders if there are any more bullets for the gun. Lester responds no. Malvo puts the gun by the basement as he heads downstairs to Pearl. Lester realizes he was hit by a stray buckshot in his hand, and there is now another cop that just arrived. Lester rushes downstairs, but he doesn't see Malvo. Molly looks through the window and finds Vernon dead, so she calls for backup. She breaks through the door and pulls out her gun. She checks for Vernon's pulse, and she's sad to know he's dead. Meanwhile, Lester isn't sure what to do. He paces around until he sees the poster. What if you're right and they're wrong? He runs head first to it and slams his head into the wall. Molly goes to the basement and finds both Nagaarts on the floor. Molly checks both pulses and finds that Lester is still alive. Luckily, backup is there to help her. She looks confused about the entire crime scene though. Once the crime scene is processed, Molly notices two paint cans that were meant for Vernon's nursery room. Molly brings the paint cans to Ida, Vernon's wife. She's devastated to see Molly there with the paint cans, knowing that her husband has passed. Sometime in the past in Duluth, Minnesota, Gus is on patrol and sees a car flying past him. He signals for the car to pull over and it does. It's Malvo in the car we saw earlier in the movie. Malvo warns Gus and tells him that it might be better for Gus to just walk away. Gus tells him to step out of the car. However, Malvo says Gus is going to remember this day. The day Gus decided to let him go and allowed Gus to see another day with his daughter. Malvo rolls his window and drives away without any resistance from Gus. Once Lester is awake from his own head injury, he notices the hole in his hand from the buckshot. Meanwhile, Molly is with her dad, who tries to convince Molly to work at the restaurant instead of being a police officer. Molly doesn't want to. She decides to head to work instead because she can't get over how suspicious the crime scene was. This is just season 1, episode 1 of the TV show Fargo. Really great show.
Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like. It really helps the channel.